Hi everyone, I'm Larissa Ness, Certified Integrative Health Practitioner, and I wanted to talk about 3 reasons why people might relapse with their digestive health gut issues after they have already done a gut protocol and healed and got great results. So the first one would be hormones that are imbalanced from a functional medicine perspective and that haven't been detected or addressed because they did just standard conventional blood work and it wasn't picked up. So one of the tests that I recommend and use in my practice is called the Stress, Mood, and Metabolism test. And it just uses a saliva sample and a little finger poke. And then we're able to look at sex hormones, thyroid, see what's happening with blood sugar and vitamin D. All of these factors can very much influence what's happening in your gut and vice versa as well. So if you are somebody that's struggling with high levels of stress, it's a great test because we can look at your cortisol 4 times throughout the day. And that actually leads me to number 2, which is stress. So stress itself can actually cause increased intestinal permeability, and which is known as leaky gut in some circles. And so what can happen is if you have undigested food particles because maybe you aren't producing enough digestive enzymes, if you have undigested food particles and bacteria and things like yeast escaping through the gut wall into the bloodstream, that can cause systemic inflammation and can potentially lead to migraines, headaches, skin problems, all kinds of issues that you think are completely unrelated. But so then that would lead me to other forms of stress, right? There's work life, emotional stress, but there's also the physical stress of these inflammatory foods, the increased intestinal permeability, food sensitivities are increasing, chemicals, where we have exposure to heavy metals and all these things all day, every day. All of these cause inflammation and can lead us to having more stress and then having more digestive issues potentially. But the big thing is that stress can be causing us to not produce enough stomach acid, and then also maybe would be preventing us from releasing, or I should say it a different way. If we're not producing enough stomach acid, it doesn't trigger our gallbladder to release bile, and then that could be maybe causing the gas and the bloating and constipation. And so there's this huge big cycle of all these systems that are getting out of balance, and we have to really work on a lot of them together, or at least address one area at a time, and then just keep building off of that. But definitely if you have run some tests and you know you have Candida overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth or parasites, you need to address that first. But just keep in mind, long term, you also want to balance your hormones. You also want to get your stress in check. You also need to know that you can't just go out and binge drink alcohol every night and continue to eat all these really, really inflammatory foods, because that's going to cause dysbiosis again. But you absolutely should be reintroducing new foods and diversifying your diet, and give yourself a couple cheat meals or flex meals, and you will be able to get that back. Once you have healed your gut, you should be able to get back to that space, unless you have some, diagnosed autoimmune disease and you just can't have gluten or, celiac, for example. But so I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. I wanted to talk about the third thing that can affect or can lead to relapses if you didn't heal and seal the intestinal lining. So what we do is we take out other probiotics, and we do something called Saccharomyces Boulardii, which is actually a non-pathogenic yeast, which pushes out the pathogenic yeast. And then after that, we reintroduce with small intestinal bacterial strains, and then with more bacterial strains after that. And then we add in a product. After you've done your gut protocol, we add in something called Healthy Gut Support Powder, and it has really, really good stuff for healing that intestinal lining, like DGL, Glutamine, Zinc, Vitamin A, Aloe, and some other great things. But anyway, so that's really, really important that you are healing and sealing the intestinal lining after you've done your protocol. And if you didn't, that might be why you have relapsed. Feel free to DM me or reach out. You can also schedule a free lab selection call if you want to get a nice comprehensive view of what's happening in your body. You can do that all on my website, larissaness.com, LARISSANESS.com.